Can the Pittsburgh Steelers rebound? Can the offense get on track and score some points? What's the issues there? And can this defense stop being so damn horrible? Welcome back to Mic Drop Sports, everybody. I'm Jason. Let's dive in here on a Thursday, the day after Christmas. Appreciate you for stopping through. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Truly appreciate that. Make sure you like and share and subscribe to the channel. However, what about this Pittsburgh Steelers team and what can they do offensively and defensively? Let's start with the offense. And what is the true issue here? It's not Russell Wilson. It's not the wide receivers. It's not the running back. What is it, guys? It's the line is having major issues. The line is not getting it done. There is major issues along that offensive front, and until you fix those, nothing works. And we talked about that before the Kansas City game in the pregame show. I said to you, if the Steelers do not have their best game offensively along the offensive front and their best game along the defensive front, they lose this ball game. What happened? They didn't have their best game, and it was far from their best game. It was a poor display of the trenches, man. It was horrible. And that is what is holding your football team back, man. That is what is hurting your football team, especially offensively. Offensively, if Russell Wilson needs to move the ball down the field, you're not going to have those times. You're not going to have the time to be able to push the ball down the field consistently because you don't have that time. And I think that is one problem from Russell Wilson is he's holding the ball a little bit too long, and he is creating the sense that that's all he wants to do is push the ball down the field. Well, Russell and this offensive line has to do what to maybe take a little heat off of them. They have to start using that dump pass game underneath. They have to start using those drag routes. And I know many people say, well, Russ can't see the middle of the field. He's too short. I get that. I understand that. I can't argue his height. I mean, it is what it is. That's what God blessed him with. Or maybe didn't bless him with. But the drag routes, you're coming out and you're popping over to the right side or the left side. Perhaps you're taking a slight slant at an intermediate type route from those drags, things of that nature. You don't need to see over the offensive line to hit those. Russell needs to use his anticipation, his timing to start utilizing that short to intermediate pass game. Those quick hitters, man. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be very short passes or one basic route or a couple routes that you have to use. You can use some things like the quick seams to the tight ends. You can use some things like, again, like I talked about, those two-step flag route type pass plays that you're looking for from some of your speedsters in the wide receiver room. You can use those things. Another thing that's going to help the Steelers offensive line is motions and shifts. And I've talked about it at nauseum here over the last 3 weeks, and sometimes you'll see the Steelers do it, and it causes some success here and there. However, but if you're not using pre-snap motions, pre-snap shifts, there's an issue. And you're not confusing the defense at all, and you're not allowing Russell Wilson to start to see the defense pre-snap. Yes, you can see the basic setup of how they are, but until you start to use the pre-snap motions and pre-snap shifts, you don't get to see and bring them out and to tell you what they are kind of doing. You're not getting to start to see the picture. And people can argue with me with that, but that is exactly what motions and shifts are all about, my friends. It's to give the quarterback the insight to start to see what the defensive game plan is for that particular play, what the scheme setup is for that particular play. And until you do that, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, and the Steelers are very vanilla in that. They don't run enough of it. They don't use enough of the pre-snap movements. They don't, period. And again, if you don't use the short to intermediate pass game, you can't run the football effectively. Your offensive line starts to struggle because they just pin their ears back and come after Russell Wilson. This is a very easy fix, guys, and everybody wants to reinvent the wheel here. You don't have to. The answer's right in front of your face. The answer's right in front of the Steelers' faces, and that's why it's such a coaching blunder of what is going on there. The answer is right there. Period. Look at it. Again, you don't have to do anything crazy. Just something simple. And when they do utilize it, you see some success. Guys, will they get it on track? I don't know. Do you know? No, you don't. Nobody can say definitively whether or not they're going to start doing some of these things in order to be successful. Nobody can sit here and say they know. You could say that you do. You can make the comments. You can jump off, and overreact like everybody does in Steelers Nation 90% of the time. It's crazy how I have receipts, guys. I get a lot of comments, and it's not from just one person in particular. It's not just from a couple people in particular. I have receipts. I read comments all the time, man. We get 1,000, whatever comments a week. A lot of comments each and every week, especially through the live shows, on the daily uploads. We get those comments each and every day. And there are people that literally, when they win a game, this team is the best thing ever. They're great. They're Super Bowl contenders. And the first time there's any trouble, they suck. Nobody can do anything. They're the worst football team there is. They're done. They're toast. Overreaction, man. And that's fine. And you're a fan and you're allowed to do that. And I do it at times too. But I do, before I make a lot of comments, I do try to sit back and separate the emotion, man. And try to look at things in the big picture. And I think that is what we need to do, Steelers Nation. Do not overreact. Do not flip out the first sign of a rocky road, man. I get it, man. This is becoming a scary and difficult trend for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their late season collapses, falling apart with injuries, falling apart schematically. It's disturbing, man. It's disturbing. And if you look at Mike Tomlin's playoff record, guys, it's bad. It's bad, my friends. Very bad. And anybody wants to argue that it isn't, I'm sorry, you're wrong. And the statistics and the history shows that you're wrong. Just do yourself a favor and go look at the last, handful. Go look at the last 10 years of Mike Tomlin's playoff performances and just look at what those are and look at the teams that he's had and look at how those teams have collapsed in certain parts of the season. Just do yourself a favor and look at that. He has to take some of the blame. He has to shoulder some of the blame. He's the head man. So definitely it's something difficult the Steelers have to deal with here. And I'm not sure why they put up with it for so long. I think there has to be some change. I think Mike Tomlin has to start making some changes. He talks about change all the time, but you never see any of it. You see the same plays put out there each and every week. You still see each and every week the lack of pre-snap movement. You still see each and every week the lack of quality play calling. You see it every week. You see the distortion in the thinking of the clock management. You see the poor roster management in terms of putting guys like McCole Pruitt, who have 77, 78 career catches for not even 1,000 yards since 2015, and you have him out there in critical third down situations? Does that make any sense to you? While others ride the bench? It doesn't make any sense. And again, those changes don't happen, my friends. And that is why some of this is the definition of true insanity. Yes, it's the definition of true insanity. But regardless, I don't know if this offense gets back on track, but I give you the so-called secret sauce here, the simple fixes. It's a simple fix, guys. And if the Steelers can't do that, if you don't start to see that on the football field, I want you to know this as a Steelers fan. They will lose in the first round of the playoffs in a big, big way. It'll be another blowout. And the Pittsburgh Steelers will be finding themselves in another situation as they were last year, and the year before, and the year before, and the year before. I'm just saying. So just kind of watch and see. Pre-snap motions, pre-snap movements. Does that help the offensive line? Does that start to help Russell Wilson identify short to intermediate pass game? And the tight ends, they have to block better in the run game because they use them so damn much. And will the Steelers be better off going to the tight ends a lot more? Yes. Will they incorporate them into the pass game in a major, major way? Those are the real things that you have to be looking at. Those are the real answers. Let's move over to the defensive side of the football here and talk about that and what that means for the Pittsburgh Steelers in terms of their success. The defense has been horrible, guys. I'm not sure how they got tagged as one of the league's best just because they were one of the highest paid. They haven't been this season. They've been a mess at times. They've had some good times. But when they face quality offenses, they fall apart and they look bad and they look sad. They look like they don't know what they're doing. We talked about the confusion. You're starting to see it in the locker room, and that's not a good sign when they're starting to point fingers. Yes, listen to all their post-game comments. You'll start to hear some of that finger pointing going on. You're starting to see some of that falling apart type shit happening in that defensive room, especially, and that's not a good sign. So hopefully they can get that fixed here, as they have now a lot of time between games and between their playoff game and this last game with Cincy. They have 11 days to prepare. Hopefully that helps, but things are starting to unravel, guys, and the defense, again, they just got to figure out how to deal with their scheme and know what to do. There's not much anybody can say. They've loaded that defense with excellent players. They're all across the board there. They just got to figure it out. And there was some comments made that everybody got to want it. And if that's not the case, then you're set up for failure instantly. If you don't want it and everybody in that room doesn't want it, you're not going to go anywhere. It's just the way it goes. But this defense, there is no simple fix to it. It has to be a lot of work from that whole defensive unit. Again, they look confused, guys. There's people running wide open. Maybe Terrell Austin needs to be out of there. Maybe his play calling's that bad. Maybe his coaching points aren't getting put across there. Maybe his defense isn't taking this serious enough in their studies. I don't know. But this defense, guys, they look very dazed and confused out there, and there looks to be some major issues in the city of Pittsburgh defensively. And Mike Tomlin can no longer continue to lean on him. He's going to have to lean on guys like Russell Wilson to start getting it done. That's just what it is, guys. Yes, we'll see what happens here. As the Steelers move forward with this next 11 days, we'll see how this Bengals game goes. But now the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't in the driver's seat of the AFC North anymore. Now the Ravens Now the Ravens are. And yeah, we'll see how that all goes. But do the Steelers still have a chance? They still have a chance, but we'll see how this all unfolds again. Yes, this late season collapse is becoming a trend. Has become something, mid to late season has become something of the norm, and that's not good for Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we'll see how this all unfolds, man. Maybe the Steelers beat the shit out of the Bengals, man, and get their confidence boosted high and really get on a roll. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe that's what, yeah, we'll leave that alone. Never mind. But maybe that's what happens. We'll see if that may be the case. But until then, man, I'm Jason. This is Mike Drop Sports. Don't forget to join us tonight for our daily live show about. Let me make sure you have your notification bell on. I'm not sure. I got to see what all I have to do tonight in order to figure out what time I'm going to do the live show. But it's been awesome turnout, man, for the live show. So we'll make sure that we are there tonight and rocking it out, and we'll see what happens. So until then, I'm Jason. This is Mike Drop Sports, and the show are on our daily upload each and every day. And the Steel City Live show will be live tonight. So make sure you join us. Make sure you're there. And until then, peace, my friends.